I'm going to give an in-depth um, story about how I discovered that extraterrestrials are using energy beams to cause humans to have psychic experiences, to hear voices, to have visions, deja vu, to see ghosts, to have dreams. The list goes on. They can make you fall asleep. They can make you have a headache. They can play a song in your mind. So basically, what happened was I started hearing voices 19 years ago after doing a Reiki attunement, two Reiki attunements, and other things. There were other issues, and I started having trouble sleeping, constant headaches, nightmares every night. It was extremely painful. I was sleeping like 16 hours a day, and it was very strong. I mean, they told me to put my hands up like this, and the energy was so strong I couldn't stop it with my hands. It literally pushed my hands back. So fast forward a couple of months ago, you always know that it's coming from outside of you because they tell you things that you just don't know. Like they'll tell you something, oh, tomorrow someone's going to knock on your door at 8 a.m. And you'd be like, yeah, I doubt that's going to happen. No one ever knocks on my door. And then at 8 a.m., someone's knocking on your door. So they do that to prove to you that they know things. So a couple of months ago, I was like, if this is really coming out from outside of me, maybe if I go under the water in the swimming pool, maybe the voices will go away. So I got in the swimming pool and the voices went away. I already knew the trick about the earplug. That one I learned a few years ago. So I was correct. Going underwater made the voices go away. And then coming back up, the voices came back and it was instantaneous. I only had to go a little bit under the water, like an inch under, and the voices went away. So then I said, okay, I'm going to test different materials and build like a hat, which this is an example of one of the hats that I made. But the one that I use is this one right here. It's a little bit bulky because I put layers and layers of different materials, but it really works and it does block the voices and it vibrates the metal that's over here. There's a metal plate right here behind to protect my ear. It vibrates when I wear it, and heat builds up underneath it. So one day I was using this to block an energy beam that was bothering me, and it wasn't really effective. So I put my hand on it to see how to align it properly, and I noticed that the metal was vibrating. I knew already that it was an energy beam, but that was like, wow, this is how you can really prove it to other people because someone else can put their hand on it. And when you put it near your body, it vibrates. And when you move it away, it stops vibrating. I mean, that's proof. And the other thing that I discovered is if I put my hand over here, it feels normal. But when I put my hand over here, I can feel my arm vibrating and different parts of my body because they're constantly tweaking. I'm always putting different layers. I added some coins to block over here. Adding more layers, they have to change the frequency of their energy beam, and it gets weaker and weaker. So I've had a lot of success. So I figured out that it was a beam because one day I was getting hit and I had my hand like on my body and moved it just an inch and it started up again. And I was like, I thought it was coming from directly above me. And then I said, it must be coming at some angle. And I was going like this. And I said, that's the angle. When I put my hand here, it was blocking it. And when I moved my hand away, it started up again. I was like, it's coming from that direction. So I figured now we know it's coming from a direction. Of course, I told people, nobody cared. But then I said, well, this blocks it and you put your hand there and you feel it vibrate and then you move it and it doesn't vibrate. That proves to people there's an energy beam. I tried batteries to see if this would interfere with the beam. It didn't, but the cell phone signal did. So um, once I figured out that they were weakening the beam, I'm like, just add more layers. And you don't have to cover your whole head. You only have to hit the target spots here, 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 and behind the ear. Those are the target spots. If you read UFO literature, people talk about how they get hit by a blue light and it knocks them out. That's where you get hit and you get knocked out. Hearing the voice is behind the ear. You have to have an implant to hear it, and the music, obviously, is on this side. Um, okay, so that's a short summary of how it happened. This is real stuff. This isn't a joke. If you put a coin, or you want a coin, something dense, and you put it over here, it'll block you from having dreams, because the dreams are being broadcast into your mind. They're being broadcast, and I believe that there's some sort of an implant that vibrates when the beam hits it at a certain frequency, and by vibrating it's sending data. That's how data transmission is done with antennas and receivers. An antenna vibrates because it gets hit by a certain frequency, and one of the things, little known fact, is that if you double the frequency it still vibrates. Everything in between won't, but if something blocks it, you double the frequency and see if it passes through. And if that gets blocked, you double it again and you keep doubling it. And as long as you keep doubling the frequency, it will still vibrate, because it vibrates at that frequency and every multiple, nothing in between. Um, okay, I know you all think I'm crazy. I understand. It's no big deal. I would have thought the same thing. But there's so many people talking about this now. I feel very safe talking about it. I'm not the only one. Get the word out. Tell people that they can build a device. That the tinfoil hat actually does work. It's not a permanent solution, but it really does work.